Let's look at some of the pre-configured reports. So to do that, when you look on your desktop, you won't see a shortcut for the report creator. You might just have a shortcut for Plant 3D. So what I do when I'm ready to run the report creator is I just go to my Windows Start button, and I'll use the search bar and just start typing the word report and let Windows find it for me. And there's the shortcut for it in the Windows Start menu, the report creator for AutoCAD, Plant 3D, and then whatever release you might be using. And since 2027 has been released, that's what I'm going to work with today. And here's the report creator. I'll go ahead and escape out of the PowerPoint for the time being. Here's the utility. It is a separate utility. You do not have to have Plant 3D running in order to work with the report creator. However, usually we would have both, so we can go between the two. First thing you'll do is you'll load your project. And you do that just by opening the project XML file. That will load up all your drawings in the data source window here. So you can connect with the entire project, or if you want to go to specific drawings, you can access drawing data. So for example, if all I wanted to do was pull from the P&IDs, I could do that. But for today, I am going to stick with all the project data. And then I'll go to the report configuration and look at the list of out-of-box reports. So anyone who's ever looked at the report creator before, you pull this list down. This is the list that you would have seen. And I'll start with this equipment list right here. Let's look at that one first. And I'm just going to click the preview button. And that's the out-of-box equipment list. It is pulling P&ID data. Not too bad. It is showing some information, which means properties have been filled out in the data manager. There's no formatting whatsoever. So it doesn't look beautiful or anything like that, but you may not care about that, and that's fine. But notice the weight column. The weight column has no data in it, which leads me to believe that those properties were never filled in Plant 3D. So what I'll do is close that preview. I'll leave the report creator open though, and I'll just switch to Plant 3D since I already have that open, and go to the P&ID side of the database. And down here in the data manager, I'll just go to the equipment level. And sure enough, the weights are already entered. So the problem is with that particular out-of-box report. The properties have been filled in, and as you saw a minute ago when we previewed it, the weights are blank. Okay, well that could make someone decide, well, I'm just gonna cast it aside. The report creator's no good, right? You might be thinking that, and that's understandable, right? So we'd have to do something about that to make so we can see the weights there. In the example I'll show you in a few minutes, you'll see that it's working. So that's one thing, a limitation of this first report already that might get in our way. Let's look at the valve list. Again, nothing's been done with the formatting. All Autodesk has done is they created the reports, nothing more. Maybe they added their logo, and that's pretty much it. But you know, the formatting leaves something to be desired, right? Same layout, very plain, but we might be getting the data that we want, and if that's all that we're after, great. It just doesn't look very official. So if you wanted to share one of these out-of-box reports with your external partners like vendors and so on, or even another department in your company, you know, someone just might not like it or something. But at least it's functioning, so that's good. Another one that might get used is the instrument list. If we're looking at a valve list, we might also want something like an instrument list, or maybe it's a combined report. So here's the instrument list. Notice here all the fields are filled in, but there is still some missing information. So that tells me that there are some components that aren't tagged in this project. So maybe I'd like to filter those out. Or I'd have to go fill the tag in or do something there. Again, this would not be an easy button situation the way I'm looking at it. Then there's a few more reports that do some calculation, and those are the weight reports. And there's 3 of them here. Here's the weight report by line number. It's a little more robust than those first ones. These reports are grouped by line number, and it is computing the weight of each of the components. And if we scroll down far enough and look where the groups separate, there is a total weight for each of the lines. That might come in handy, but there's still something to be desired with this formatting. There's a lot of white space, and the weights, the decimals are all over the place. So if you were to run this same report from your report creator, you'll see exactly what I'm showing you. And again, something to be desired with the decimals, as well as all this extra space in between all the line items and things like that. And so this one, even if you don't have a lot of lines in your report, I have 33 pages here, which seems excessive, simply because the formatting wasn't completely dealt with. Another weight report is one by objects. So this one doesn't have any grouping. However, things are still somewhat grouped so that like items are next to one another in the report. So that's good. Other than that, it's the same report as the line number weight report. And then there's another one, weight report by spool. But there's no spool numbers, which from P&IDs, is that even an issue? Maybe not. In the model, it could be. So, but the report itself has already been set up in case someone needs it. So there's some weight reports. There's also some center of gravity reports, which are very similar to the weight reports. We'll just look at one of these. Pretty much identical to the other report, still has the weight column, and then it has the center of gravity information from the data manager. Still might be enough to get you started. The 3D reports, we'll look at the 3D parts report here. Of all the reports that come out of the box, this is probably the one with the best format and the layout. Easier to read than the others. It is also grouped by component type. So all your pipe is in a group, elbows, etc. It has size down the middle there. It is calculating the total length of each pipe size, and it's totaling the quantities of the inline components. So this can be a good bill of materials for your 3D models. Still, the format needs some attention, just for the sake of readability. Maybe there's a column here that you don't want, and there's another column that you do, but it's not here, things like that. All of the lengths and the quantities, maybe you want to justify them differently just to make it easier to read. I also want to call attention to something in this report in particular. Let's look at the, zoom in here for you, the bolt sets. I have found that in the bolt set, the quantities that you see here are the number of sets. And based on what I've told from some other customers, what they really want is the actual number of bolts for the project or for each type of bolt. So we don't have that in the out-of-box report, which means someone's going to want to export to Excel and then run the math from there. When I show you my custom report, I've included that to get the actual bolt count. So what we'll do in the next report is we're going to watch this one right here. I just decided to use this one as my example today. It's the 3/4 by 4 1/4 bolt, and we'll watch what the quantity is when I show you my custom report. So once that's built in, no one has to do any math. And the last out-of-box report I'd like to review is the drawing list. Not everybody cares about having a list of all the drawings. Others might. So this is the out-of-box drawing list. You all have access to it if you've got Plant 3D installed. The drawings are listed, but there's no filtering, and there are gaps in the information. For example, look at the revision column here. This revision on the drawing list simply doesn't work. No matter what you might try, you'll never get the revision column to fill in with your revisions. And that's an issue. In the report I'll show you, there is a way to take care of that. Another thing that is lacking in the drawing list report is some drawings don't have anything in the number column. I also don't have anything in the author or the drawn by column. Those are the isometrics that are in the project. And in case you weren't aware, there is no place on an ISO to add that information under drawing properties, like you can for P&IDs, orthos, and 3D models. So that definitely leaves something to be desired on a report like this. Also, we've got that path column, and if you're sharing your drawing list externally, we really don't need to share a path like that with someone outside the company. So I did find a way to address all of that in my custom report. So with all these reports, yes, there are some that might get us all started, but there is some refining to be done.